out there, welcome to another edition of the program Total Woman. My name is Mute Olori. In so many places around the world, the challenge to lowering teen pregnancy rates is a complicated combination of social pressure, poverty, and oppression of women. Nigeria suffers from all of these issues and no solution on the horizon. In Nigeria, an estimated 23% of women aged 15 to 19 years have begun childbearing, and of which 17% have had their first child, and 5% are pregnant with their first child. We will be looking at the issue of teens pregnancy. What is it exactly? What can we do to control and to bring down the rates? I have my guests here with me, a public servant and a mother of two. She has 20 years working experience with women and children. Please join me to welcome my guest, Mrs. Rose Akpan. How are you, madam?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. It's been 20 years working with women and children. And I'm sure that you've had to handle cases of teenagers who get pregnant. Some know where to go, some on the street just there, and I begin to wonder, what is the problem? Is it lack of information, education? Is it ignorance? Or just the fact that they're teenagers and they just want to explore? What exactly is the situation?
I think it's a combination of all the things you've listed out. But most importantly is the education, the information they have. As African parents, we don't know how to bridge that gap with our children, with our teens. We don't know how to do it. Maybe because of our culture, maybe because of our upbringing. So education, both on the side of the parents and also on the side of the child. So a combination of all that, you have poverty in the mix, you have drug abuse in the mix, you have rape in the mix. So all of that contributes to teenage pregnancy.
So can you share some of the experiences you've had with these girls so far? Because sometimes when people listen, they will just wonder, oh, a combination of this, maybe the rate is not really as high as we're talking about.
When I first heard the topic, I was thinking, right now, who do I have? Which teenager do I have that is pregnant? Then it brings back to mind a girl that was brought to work with me. She's about 19 then. So I was like, wow, you're pretty young and you have a child. Why do you want to work? She said, Ma, I'm going to school, because I needed the person to come in like from 4 to 6 and just do a few stuff. She said, I'm going to school. So after school, I need to work so I can take care of my baby. I was like, wow. When did you have the baby? She had the baby when she was 16. So she had to stop school for 2 years, to have the baby and have the baby grow a bit and now go into a kind of care. So she needs to work to be able to take care of the child. So I kept her, I encouraged her for like 2 years till she finished. And I work with children a lot in church. And so many cases come. And for the case of Abuja, when they get pregnant, they get a lot of wrong advice from their peers of what to do when they are pregnant. A lot of them, their parents won't even know that they are pregnant. And so you hear, I had an interesting case where one of the teenagers there had solutions to teens that are pregnant. You can imagine what kind of solutions.
Please, I'm interested.
You can imagine the kind of solution, concoctions, things to do, where to go. And at the end of the day, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. serious trouble. And sometimes when you tell the parents, they're like, what? What? How? When?
Is that a question? What, how, when, with a child who is in the same house with you?
That's the reaction you get.
So let's go back. We talked about parenting, we talked about education, school. What is the gap at home? What's the problem at home? Why teenagers don't have information, and why parents look surprised when they hear these cases?
You know, one thing that we don't have is how to parent. It just happens on you. If you don't go out there to seek proper information, what to do, how to do it, it just happens on you. And so maybe you call your friend, this is this, and she'll give you your own information, or call your mom, this. So we don't have a structure of how to parent, how to raise our kids. We just follow friends, family.
Or the way we were brought up.
Yeah.
Or after all.
You just ask questions. Oh, my child is doing this. What can I do? You call your friend, you call your mom, you call your auntie. So there's no proper structure. There is no, if I want to learn how to raise my kids, okay, I want to get married. Even in churches, you have, or maybe mosque, they'll have structure. When you want to get married, you learn. But nobody really teaches you what to do when you want to have a child. Where do I go to get proper information? So we don't have that proper information where to go and how to raise our kids well. I think that's one major gap. Because even if you're not too well to do, when you know, you can, at your level, you can tell your child, give them the information they need.
You mentioned something about drug abuse. What is the role of drug abuse in teens pregnancy?
We know how drug abuse is rampant in Nigeria.
Yeah.
It's rampant. And so when you're under the influence of drugs, you're not thinking straight, you're not thinking right. You just do what comes to mind at that point. So drug abuse is a major factor in teenage pregnancies.
So that means what we just identify is the issue of peer pressure, exposure to wrong information, and parents not knowing what to do. Now, let's go to our school educational system. If parents don't know, isn't that supposed to now maybe fall on the schools to help nurture the children and give them the proper information that they need?
It should be part of our curriculum from pre-kindergarten. It should be, because there's sexual education at every stage. At 3 years, you can teach your child. At 5, you can teach. At 9, at 12, at different levels. So if it's part of our curriculum from kindergarten, then the child knows, even from the school. But even in the school, you have sexual abuse in schools, some schools. So
we have a big problem. That even the schools that are supposed to
even
protect,
in schools, you have them a lot.
Protect the children.
You have them a
still
lot.
Have cases of sexual.
Yes. So if I'm going to look for a school now for my kids, one of the things I look out for, do they have a CCTV?
Whoa.
And in almost public schools don't have that. That's one of the things, because you need to know, you need to find out what is happening. So even in the school system, it needs to be part of our curriculum. Our teachers too need to be trained and know how to handle these things.
But most schools have guidance and counseling.
Do they?
Am I speculating? But most schools are supposed to have guidance and
They are supposed to, yes. But do they really have them? They are supposed to, but do they have them?
So what do we do to minimize it?
At all levels. First, at home. That's the first stage at home. At home, because when you have cases of sexual abuse starting early from home, the tendency for the children to get active sexually is higher. And so they get pregnant early. So first it at home. Let's make our homes safe for our kids. And then let's give them the information to make right decisions for themselves. And then we go to our communities, we go to our religious bodies. If they take it as a part, after you do marriage preparation for a couple, teach them how to parent too. We go to our communities, our local communities.
We seem to be putting the blame on the table of just the parents. Is that the bedrock of the issue, or what about the society? What role do society have to play? Because from our discussion, I seem to be having the vibes that it has to be the parents, it has to be home, that we're having the problem.
That's the foundation. Now, if the foundation is not good, what can we do? We can start, like I said, schools. We have religious bodies. We have our communities. We have the government taking it as an issue and do something about it. If they have, this is the percentage, this is what it does, and see what they can do about. So it's all strata, but the foundation is home. Yeah.
All right, we'll take a short break. I'll be right back. When we come back, we'll be looking at each bodies that we've identified: the home, the community, the school, what roles they can play, what values we can begin to put in place. And then when we have the issues of victimization or issues of girls that are pregnant already, how do we seem to help them? And don't forget, rape cases are reported almost daily in Nigeria, in the newspaper, on television, and these victims are girls. You agree with me that the pregnancy results, parents and family members force these young girls to either marry the rapist or see the pregnancy as a reason to abandon these girls, and they cannot take care of themselves. They do this because, what will people say? Societal comments. How will somebody of my position ever deal with this? But do we think of the future of these young girls? We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Teenage pregnancy is not good for some girls, especially stage from 13 and above to the stage of 15, 16. Those teenagers have ambition, they have futures. But some parents, I know most cases, parents are the cause of teenage pregnancies, like especially single mothers and poor parents. Like if they don't have parental guidance, they just get to go astray.
If the National Assembly can maybe bring out a law, that will look into that aspect, because at times it's not even their fault. It is the situation, poverty, and the rest of them lead to that. So I think if there's a law that will maybe deal with the, person in the culprit, maybe the man that is responsible for that pregnancy, I think it can be curtailed.
I have a friend in my village just like that. She really hates men. She just hates men just for no reason. Until you get close to her and they have that deep spirit of not liking anything around them. We really need to alarm on this issue.
You're welcome back. The northern parts of Nigeria with the lowest literacy rates have the highest rate of early pregnancies. And this is often due to early marriage. We have the issue of VVF, young girls that are not well formed, having to bear children. And now we have a new trend of young girls who are still children having children. This does affect their education. It's a trend that people are not paying attention to. And I'm really afraid of what is going to happen or what kind of future we're going to be having as a nation when a certain generation of people will just be simply children having children. What kind of values should we begin to put in place to check this trend? Because it just people are not paying attention. 23% is high. And everywhere we're shouting, say no to rape, say no to violence. It's becoming a vicious circle. What kind of values should we put in place?
It's a culture that needs to change. They need to change it. I have a colleague that has this girl lives with her. And she was going to school, she was doing well, and suddenly the parents came. She should send the girl back so that she can go and marry. We're like, what? She said, yes, so he's a rich man. He will change their family. He will do this, he will do that. And so they had to take the girl back at about 14 to go and get married. We tried to talk, we tried to appeal, but it's there. They believe it. And so I don't know how we can change that whole thing about if the child stays in my house to adulthood, nobody will marry her. That's one perception. Another is, I've seen this rich man that wants to marry her, he will change her family. That's another perception. And even the enlightened ones don't see anything wrong with giving out young children for marriage. Some of them are beginning to speak about it. If we have the law in place that prohibits early marriages, then we can begin to say, if you do this, these are the repercussions. But as far as it's still okay, it's a problem. So maybe we need to advocate, appeal, or really show what really happens to these young girls when they bear children very early.
I know there are documentaries, there are programs, people have been focusing on this, but I don't know if we don't seem to understand that a child who is not biologically well formed, it has its danger. There's so many documentaries of VVF. I think I don't really know how we'll deal with this menace, but it's not about that the information is not there of the damage. But like you said, we need to come back home. Before we went on the break, we talked about the parents needing new education. I know we've been talking about abstinence, but it doesn't seem to work. Because these children at the early age of 9, they're sexually active. I read somewhere this week about a 20-year-old guy that got I've been having sexual relationship with 10-year-old girls. And because of societal shame, the mother was trying to shush the matter. For people not to know that her 10-year-old have started having sex. Please, at what age should we start having this sex talk with our children?
As early as they can talk. As early as they can speak. You should teach them. The education for a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old is different from a 5-year-old. So as they grow and know more, you become more specific. If we wait till the child becomes a teenager, it's way, way, way too late. Way too late. Because if you don't teach them, they know. How they find out, I don't know, but they know. They have friends that talk about these things. So if you don't give them the right information, they get some other kind of information somewhere else.
What is the place of the media in all this?
It's a whole lot. Because what we see on our screens are not friendly for kids. A whole lot. Then you now have social media in the mix. Because normally before, if they are online, I have to be there to guide. Actually, my daughter went somewhere. I was like, How did you get there? He said, Mommy, it popped up. I didn't know I clicked it. And so from the traditional media, a whole of the programs are not heading in that direction. Then you now go to the social media, which a lot of young people stay on. That's even worse. That's even another ball game. Then I went to shop one day, and there was this very beautiful woman, very, very beautiful. But she had this pungent smell, very, very bad. So I was shocked. I turned, I looked at her, and my friend I went with, I said, what happened? What happened? He said, obviously, she has VVF, and that's how. I'm like, wow, is this how bad this is? If I were her, I wouldn't step out. I will not step out. That was my first time of knowing how serious it is. I will see, you see on, they talk about it, but when you experience it, and most of the time, when these young girls have this, they will divorce them. And so the marriage they went into, they are not there again.
Use the word, the first marriage.
The first marriage they were put into, they are not there again. They are back to their parents' home.
Or back on the streets.
Or wherever they can find themselves. With no care, with nobody to help them.
What kind of recommendation should we give to government to come in a case like this? Because the percentage definitely will go up with the rates of poverty. This corona has cost much more for us. Economic, no more economic. The economy is grounded.
Yeah.
People don't have money to survive. The government is doing what they can do, but they can't reach everybody. So of course, people will begin to definitely still continue to trade. What advice, how do we think government can come in to help those who are pregnant already, or those who are on the way to being pregnant?
For the ones that are pregnant already, all they need is support. I know it's, for families, it's shameful. They do all sorts of things. It's support. For government, it's to strengthen our social system. We use our orientation agency so that they can interpret it in local languages in ways that even the person in the village, it will make impact in them. And when we do that, they won't give out their children to be married at a young age like that. So advocacy, orientation, this is where national orientation should come in. Because they are in every state, every local government. And so that can go into the interior part of our country. And then mostly, the national government can appeal or push to the states that have not signed the Child Rights Act to do so. That will help. That will help a lot. So it becomes a crime to marry a 13-year-old girl.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Rozakpan. During the campaign of no rape and all that, one of the slogans that came up is, if you cannot vote, then you should not have sex. That means until you're 18, which you have voting rights, such a person should not be forced to have sex or to go into marriage. And if parents are beginning, we can persecute them for giving their children early or using their children for trade by barter. If we have a law that will persecute such parents, I think we can begin to work towards reducing it. I want to call on everyone, neighbors, civil society, the school, everyone to put hands together to see how we can fight and put an end to teenage pregnancy. It is a collective responsibility. Let's remain focused on the fight to empower women and the young child. Until I come your way again next week with another enlightening episode of Total Women. My name is Muti Olori, and please keep watching AD4 TV Radio. God bless you.